Hello, everyone, and welcome to CapitalW Collective's Mentorship Matters. I'm your host, Dr. Stacey, and I have the distinct pleasure of bringing you industry professionals in various roles who share their wealth of experiences, their insights, and their recommendations from their own mentoring journeys. And if you know CapitalW Collective, you know our commitment to amplifying women in the capital markets space through education, elevation, and empowerment. And in this series, we'll discuss the impact and the importance of mentoring, no matter your role, educating you on what to do to elevate yourself and how to get empowered to lean into mentoring. And today, I'm excited to share our guest is Melissa Langdale. Melissa Langdale is the founder and CEO of Praxis Lending Solutions, which is an executive consultancy firm that helps mortgage lenders modernize their workflows, adopt emerging technologies, and reduce their cost to originate. A recognized leader in housing innovation, Melissa has served as president and COO of the Mortgage Collaborative and led operations for fintechs and community banks alike. She's always spotlighting industry changemakers. She's also the host of the leading innovation-focused webcast and podcast called 𝘓𝘓𝘓 and a national speaker on transformation and AI. Melissa lives in Austin, Texas, with her husband and her twin boys. Melissa, welcome to our show. We are so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about our conversation today.
Me too. Everybody knows we kind of, I let the beans spill that we've had a little bit of a conversation beforehand, but I will say I am so excited to bring this conversation to our audience because I know there are some really great nuggets in there that they're going to learn from you specifically and about what you do in the marketplace. So I would love to start with, we just heard your bio. And I know your story is so much more robust than just what's in that bio. You have a great mortgage moment, that story that really reveals some key insights about you and why you do what you do and how you ended up where you are. And I would love for you to share that story with our audience.
Well, I would be happy to. I think we all have moments in our career where they're like anchor moments, right? There are moments where we have the opportunity and the privilege to like learn not only, more about ourselves, but also why we do what we do. And so one of mine, I've been in the industry my entire life. For those that I have not had the privilege of meeting before, my parents were in the industry before I was, and so I happened to grow up in this business. And even through all of that, I actually did not want to be in mortgage just like everybody else. I just saw the crazy like from day one. And so I'm like, there's zero chance I'm getting into this, but life happens. And I needed a job in between what I thought was going to be my undergraduate and graduate program. And mom and dad needed help. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go help them. And 3 months into working for them, I had one of our customers call me after closing. And she was crying. She was a mother of two teenage boys, and she was a first generation homebuyer. And she was just so proud of the legacy that she was going to be able to leave her children. And I literally, from that moment, came to my parents and I was like, oh my gosh, I finally get it. I understand why you do what you do. And I'm all in. I want to learn everything I can about this industry. And so that's what I've been doing since then. I've been in operations, I've been in sales, I've built branches, areas, divisions. I've launched a company from the ground up for a community bank in North Carolina, and then kind of built out mortgage operations for a fintech startup here in Austin, Texas. And then, like you said, served as the president and COO of the Mortgage Collaborative before launching my own firm in January of last year to prepare the industry, prepare my clients for the future of mortgage banking. So excited to be here and have this conversation. I think, there's so many things that Capital W does that I'm just such a big fan of. And, I like I said, I think we all have those kind of moments in our career that anchor us into our why. And so, for everybody that's here, I would encourage them to think about those moments in their career and leverage that as an opportunity to continue to grow and in a way that reminds you of why you got into this, why you do what you do every day. There's challenges along the way for all of us, but when we remember that's wise, those challenges become a lot easier.
That is such a beautiful gift to have a reward story, a mortgage moment like that so early in your career. I mean, really, even before your career got started,
Yes.
it's almost like some part of that spark that got it going. And what a wonderful gift to have that. But I love your advice too for those of us who are in the industry, and if you're whether you're originating or whatever part you're playing in the process, those stories where you are really a change maker in a person's life and the trajectory of not just their lives but the lives of their family members and their future generations. I mean, a lot of people that I've met in this industry have always have said, I fell into this industry. You hear that all the time. I fell into it.
Yeah.
But I really believe that folks that are kind of destined to want to help others or to serve others, that this is a fantastic industry. And you have a great story right from the very beginning of what you've done to serve this industry and serve a lot of people of why that reward's so important. So thank you for sharing that beautiful moment. It's fantastic. So how has mentorship impacted you and become an important part of your journey?
Well, none of us have a career, without others around us, right? And so I think, mentorship for me has always been relationships that I've been able to establish and leverage over the years to continue to grow in leadership, grow in skill set, grow in knowledge. All of that changes based on kind of the season of your career that you're in. I have been incredibly blessed to have a very diverse group of mentors over my career. And, I think about mentorship probably a little bit different than a lot of people. And maybe I don't, maybe it's just where my head is. But I think mentorship is just relationships. When I was early in my career, I had this like box that mentorship needed to live in, right? Everybody said I needed a mentor. So I was like, I'm going to go get a mentor. And so I asked this one person to be my mentor. She looked at me like, okay. And I convinced her to have lunch with me. And then we're sitting down eating lunch, and it was the most awkward lunch of my entire career. I'm like waiting for her to like give me all these words of wisdom about all the things that I should be doing in my career. But we were so different. I just knew that like I resonated with where her career was, and I really wanted to help myself grow as a leader. And so I was like, I need a mentor like her. And so, after that moment, I really realized that mentorship can be kind of something bigger and broader. It can just be fantastic relationships that you make in the industry that can help you to grow in various ways. So, I've had people that have helped me to grow as a leader. I've had people that have helped me to understand cap markets. I've had people that, have helped me to understand operations and efficiencies and processes. And I've had people help me on the sales side of things. And so I think, based on where you're at in your career, if you see mentorship as just an opportunity to learn from those around you, it takes it out of this kind of very formal box that, at least in my head, so early in my career, I was thinking that mentorship was. And so, I think when you think about it as a relationship, it opens up the door for so many people that you can learn from. But it also reminds, at least for me, it reminds me that it often is a two-way street. So many people that have mentored me over the years, I've had the opportunity to mentor at various points too. And so there is this kind of really cool thing that happens when you really have an opportunity to build those relationships over time. You start to recognize the areas of expertise that you each have in a unique way. And so as things come up, you have a much broader network to be able to leverage. And at whatever season you're at in your career, you have options that you can kind of choose from on who can help you in that various area of growth that you want to lean into.
I love that. Like, so you're the box, that definition, that box that you had early on. almost became like this box of crayons. Like
Yeah.
every crayon has a different purpose for why it's in that box and what it brings to the bigger picture. And you've painted this beautiful opportunity for people to understand mentoring in a way that maybe is a little different than what they initially started out thinking. I would say I had that some of that same advice. Go get a mentor. Go get a mentor. And you're like, what does it even mean? Like,
Yeah.
what? So what do we do? I mean,
Yeah.
is it like magic? There's like pixie dust or a magic wand, and boop, now you
Yep.
know some stuff. It's just, but you found a way to have mentoring relationships that are mutually beneficial. Like you're mentoring as well as being mentored because you have a skill set that the other person may be able to tap into or lean into. And what a beautiful way to think of mentoring really as just think of it as relationships. And I would imagine the better that you've gotten at developing relationships, the more mentoring that's happened. I just get that
Well,
feeling from you.
of course, right? The better relationships you have, it opens up the door for all sorts of conversations that can be really impactful to, your career growth over time. And so, yeah, I think the stronger your relationship is, the easier it is to lean into and ask advice on kind of the messy things that happen in our career sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And you don't always have an opportunity to lean into those messy conversations unless you have that established relationship, right? So yeah, I agree. I think just building those relationships is such a key component and can make a huge difference in the questions that you ask and how you learn and all of those sort of things from the people around you.
So you talked a bit about this kind of network of relationships. Is there anything that's like at the core of what you hold dear or you hold at your core when it comes to being a mentor yourself?
That's a really good question. I think, at the end of the day, it really, I'll go back to just relationships. It's people that you can build a relationship with. It's making sure that as a mentor, if you're sitting in that seat, that you're learning enough about the person that really, you can mentor and help them to grow in their career. That way, when you give them advice, it's not things based on your experiences alone, although those things are helpful and valuable. It's based on their needs and their desire for growth. And when you start to think about it in a relationship perspective, for me, it always puts it in the mindset of how I can help that other person, right? And so it's not just sharing, experiences. It's what do they need? What do they need in their, career growth? What are the things that they might not know that they don't know? And so, helping to kind of guide those things, but that takes asking the right questions and building that relationship and understanding enough about that person to make sure that you're giving them the advice that can really be impactful for them, along the way.
And I get this impression from you that you've also moved beyond that. For those of us who've been in the industry for or been in careers even for a minute, it was always go find a mentor. For me, go find a woman who to mentor you. And
Yeah.
it almost made it seem like the only mentors that I should have were people who looked just like me. But the reality is whoever you are and wherever you are in this industry, there may not be someone who looks like you that's at an elevated position to be a mentor. So how do you view that kind of that part of the relationship?
I think we learn and grow by having a diverse set of feedback loops around us, right? And so a lot of my mentors have been men over the years. But I do think there is definitely some value in having people that do either look like you or have been in similar situations to you over the years, because there are some things that can get messy in our careers and in our industry. And I think having somebody that has navigated something like that in the past can make it so much easier to ask the right question, and lean into the reality of the messiness and have them help you to navigate that. in a way that's really impactful. But there is value in, this not just being find people that look like you, because I believe that there's moments in all of our career where if you only surround yourself with people that have had your same experiences and look like you and all of those sort of things, then you're limiting yourself on the amount of growth that you can really see. And so I think having that diverse set of perspectives around you that you can leverage and pull on when you need it, and then also that you can impact over time, is so important, so valuable. You learn so much more from people that have had different experiences for you. I mean, even, I talked about kind of the messiness that can happen in careers, and I'll just be very kind of candid. I mean, there are some messy things that happen as leaders and as I don't know, just women and men in our industry. There are things that are sexual harassment and things that are very messy, but happen, in our industry. And so sometimes it's helpful to have somebody that looks like you to navigate something like that. And then sometimes also it's helpful to have people that completely don't look like you, so that you have a perspective on, what might be on the other side of things. And so there is value in having both, those people around you that have had similar experiences, and then also those people around you that have had a completely different perspective in navigating those messy things, and then navigating just the things that you need from a career and skill set perspective to you.
I love that. And so you've not waited to make sure that the person mentoring you looks just like you, because you see beyond that to see what the impact can be when you use that full box of crayons and you paint that and you make that beautiful picture of what your future can look like, and even just how you're navigating the day to day, what your mentors are teaching you along the way. It's beautiful. Well, my friend, it is time for your Mentorship Matters nugget. So we love for our guests to share their mentorship nugget. Now, this can be, maybe it's advice to your younger self, or an action that you recommend others take so that they can lean into mentoring relationships. So what takeaway would you like to share with us?
I'll share this, and maybe it's advice that I would have given my younger self along the way. I think as women in our industry, there are very unique things that we have to navigate around families and careers and all of those sort of things. And at the end of the day, it's what you choose is the right journey for you. This is one of those moments where, if you're trying to navigate family and career, make sure you actually have somebody that has navigated that component with you the right way. I've had people around me at times of my career that didn't agree with my decisions to lean into my career and not be a full-time mom at home. And so, I think things like that are so challenging when you choose one pathway and you have this, feedback loop around you that tells you you're choosing wrong. It's not helpful. And so, especially around things like that. And so I'll just say to everybody out there that's earlier in their career, whatever choice you have in that area of your life, just lean into it and surround yourself with people that support your growth and support your decisions along the way.
Beautiful. All right, my friends, you heard it right here. Melissa just gave you the advice. Lean into what those choices are, because, sometimes we give ourselves, put ourselves under a lot of pressure that it's got to be exactly right.
Yes.
But to your point, even if it's messy, there's still folks out there that are supporting you and helping you along the way. Melissa, we cannot thank you enough for being here today and dropping some wisdom on our audience and sharing your experiences, your why for being in the industry, your why for continuing, and certainly that inspiration that has led you to have such a beautiful career and do so much good in our industry. So thank you for being here with us today and sharing all of that.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for Capital W and everything that you guys are doing to help continue to empower, educate, women in our industry. I just love the work that you guys are doing. So thank you for having me.
All right, friends. Well, thank you all for joining, and we look to see you at the next Mentorship Matters with CapitalW Collective. Take good care.